Good afternoon. Welcome to this annual organizational meeting of the Board of Estimate and Taxation for January 8th, 2025. I am Ken Daler from the City Clerk's Office, and it is my privilege to convene this annual organizational meeting of the Board of Estimate and Taxation. Before we begin the meeting, I want to offer a friendly reminder to all members, staff, and the public that these meetings are broadcast live to enable greater public participation. These broadcasts include real-time captioning as a further method to increase the accessibility of our proceedings to the community. Therefore, all speakers need to be mindful of the rate of their speech so that our captioners can fully capture and transcribe all comments for the broadcast. We ask all speakers to moderate the speed and clarity of their comments. I will now call this meeting to order and ask the clerk to call the roll so that we may verify the presence of a quorum.
Commissioner Fry.
Here.
Abeni.
Here.
Payne.
Present.
Chuktai is absent. Vice President Priest-Stinson is absent. President Brandt.
Here.
There are 4 members total.
Let the record reflect that we do have a quorum. Microphone. Oh. Thank you. It's my first day. Let the record reflect that we have a quorum. We will now proceed to our agenda, a copy of which was posted for public access to the city's Legislative Information Management System, available at lims.minneapolismn.gov. The first item, board members, is the adoption of today's agenda. I will note that on the printed agenda it includes acceptance of minutes, but we do not accept minutes at organizational meetings. So if I could have a motion to adopt the agenda with the removal of acceptance of minutes.
So moved.
That motion has been properly moved and seconded. Is any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say nay. The ayes have it and the agenda is adopted. Next, we will proceed to the election portion of our agenda. Item 3 references the Park Board at their annual meeting on January 2nd. The Park Board has reappointed Commissioner Kathy Abeni to serve as the Park Board representative to the Board of Estimate and Taxation. So welcome back, Commissioner Abeni.
Thank you.
The next item of business is the election of the body's officers as set forth in Section 3.2 of the Board of Estimate and Taxation's bylaws. In terms of procedure, I intend to administer the election for both president and vice president, and we will follow the same procedure for both offices. So the procedure will be as follows. First, I will open the floor for any nominations. After all nominations have been made, the nominating period will be closed. Once the nomination period is closed, no further nominations will be accepted. After the nominations period is closed, we will proceed to take the vote. If there are multiple candidates, we'll take a separate vote on each nominee and act on each in the order they were received. If there are multiple nominations, we will do a vote by roll call as well. But if there's just one nominee, we'll just do that on a simple voice vote, unless any members object to that. Once the president and vice president have been announced, I will turn the meeting over to the president to preside over the remainder of the agenda. Are there any questions about that process? Great. Seeing none, we will proceed to the election first of the president of the Board of Estimate and Taxation. The floor is now open to nominations. Are there any nominations? Commissioner Abeni.
Thank you. I would like to nominate Steve Brandt to continue to serve as the president of the Board of Estimate and Taxation.
Second.
Fantastic. Commissioner Abeni has nominated Commissioner Brandt for president. Are there any additional nominations? Any further nominations? Seeing none, the nominating period is now closed. Before I call for a voice vote, I will just double check to see if there's any general discussion about the nomination for president. Seeing none, all those in favor of appointing Steve Brandt as president of the Board of Estimate and Taxation say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say nay. That motion carries, and Commissioner Brandt has been elected president. I will now proceed to the role of vice president. Are there any nominations for the role of vice president? Commissioner Payne.
I move to nominate Samantha Priest-Stinson for vice president.
Second.
Thank you. Commissioner Payne has nominated Commissioner Priest-Stinson for vice president. Are there any further nominations? Any further nominations? Seeing none, I will close the period for nominations for vice president and open the floor to any general discussion. Seeing none, all those in favor of Samantha Priest Stinson as vice president, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say nay. That motion carries, and Commissioner Priest Stinson has been elected vice president. With that, President Brandt, I will turn the chair over to you.
Thank you, and thank you to board members. Item 5 on our agenda is the annual review of the bylaws. Does anybody have any discussion or want to propose any changes to our bylaws? Okay. I will note for the record that Commissioner Priest Stinson did have a change that she was interested in. It came to me relatively late, and it wasn't in writings, and I'm not confident that I would fully understand it or even yet that I support it. But I just wanted to serve that notice. The bylaws provide that we may amend the bylaws at any meeting with proper notice and the advance publication of the proposed bylaw change. So that option will be available to Commissioner Priest Stinson, and of course it would take a 2/3 vote. So we have no motion before us. Seeing no motions, we'll move on to item 6, which is discussion number 6, which is confirming our calendar of 2025 regular meetings. Is there a motion to confirm the calendar?
So moved.
Is there a
Second?
second? We have proper motion before us. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Okay, the ayes have it, and the calendar is confirmed. We now move to the announcements section of our meeting, and I will keep this short, but I do have several things to mention in passing. The first one is that not only do we have Commissioner Benny back as the commissioner representing the Park Board, but she is now the new Park Board president. So I want to hope you'll join me in congratulating her on that achievement, and we welcome her back. And I also want to give an update to the extent I can on the hiring process. The update is quite simply that, to my knowledge, there has been no progress since we passed the resolution at our December 11th meeting. I last week requested HR to provide an update in time for this week's meeting on the amount of, what are the next steps and the amount of time that HR believes will be needed to execute the steps of advertising and finishing the search, and then bringing names to be interviewed before the ad hoc committee. I have not had a response. I think a lot of people were out over the holidays, so with luck, we'll have a update at our meeting on the 22nd. Also, looking ahead to our meeting on the 22nd, I would like to put an item on the agenda, which is the beginning of a discussion of a work plan for our new staffer. I don't anticipate that we'll necessarily finish in one meeting. However, I'd like people to come to next meeting with their ideas for the work plan for that staffer. Obviously, a lot of them are fairly specific and set forth in the JAQ, but we also have a fairly large area of this person's time that will be devoted to various research projects on our behalf. And I've been keeping a list of things, but there may be others that you certainly have in mind for this person to dive into when they come on board. So I just ask that, and I'll try and send out a reminder about a week before the meeting on that. And then I guess I've already mentioned Commissioner Priest Stinson's interest in a potential bylaw change down the road. She is ill with pneumonia today, which is why she's not here. Any questions? All right. With that, we've completed all business to come before us, and we stand adjourned.
Congratulations.
Thank you.